Yeah, and I just say, hey, you guys want to be a baller? You want the cool car? You want the cool pad? You want all this other stuff?
This is No Excuses with Jon Taffer.
Every once in a while, I get to bring a guest in on my podcast who I have a personal affection for. Not only as an individual, but whose story just fascinates me. And Rick Harrison is one of those people. And in full disclosure, Rick and I are friends. We've had dinner together. We've met each other's wives. We both live in Las Vegas. We both have reality shows. So we got a lot in common. But Rick's story is unbelievable to me and inspirational. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Really good to have you here. I've been trying to get you on for weeks. I want everybody to know your story because it's an amazing story. You were born in North Carolina.
Yep.
And as a kid, when you were younger, you had migraine headaches.
Well, I mean, no. So when I was 2 years old, my family moved to San Diego. My dad was in the Navy. When I was 8 years old, I developed epilepsy. There was a few articles that came out, and they just wanted to play down the epilepsy thing for some reason. No, I had epilepsy when I was a kid. I had really violent seizures. Uh-huh. There was times where violent enough where I couldn't walk for 2 weeks.
Wow. But as a result of that, and this is where I'm going, it isn't about the epilepsy per se. You started reading.
Oh yeah. I mean, because my dad's in Vietnam. My mom's trying to sell real estate on the side. We got a house, but we're literally moving my my aunt in and her kids because my uncle's in Vietnam, and just to pay the rent.
Navy family.
My dad was Air Force. My dad was Navy, they so I'm really sick all the time. There's one TV in the house, and remember this is 1973. There's 3 TV stations, and there's definitely nothing for a kid to watch during the day. So Mom went to the library, got me some books, and it was sort of like Kismet. It was a series of books by John D. Fitzgerald called The Great Brain. It was about a 8-year-old kid growing up in Utah who declared to the world that he had a great brain and had all these schemes to make money.
So at a young age, then that put you in sort of a mindset, though, didn't it? So would you say that those books helped you sort of become the Rick Harrison that you are today?
Yeah, a little bit. And I fell in love with reading. I mean, I literally, even when I remember being like 10 years old and my older brother saying, well, why are you guys watching TV? You should read more. It's a lot better. And he punches me. That's what big brothers do.
But you have always been very entrepreneurial. I mean, you'll get into new deals, new opportunities. You've got the restaurant that I know of. You have other business things that you do.
Oh, yeah. I have a publishing company, a production company. I got the pawn shop. I mean,
you think that goes back to those books when you were a little boy?
Maybe it does. I mean, I just always believed in the philosophy, find a hole in the market and fill it. I mean, one of the, here's a few little things, for example. When my son was born, my ex-wife, she calls me up when he's born and goes, I was just watching Oprah, and they got these really cool baby bottles for infants. Will you order me 2 of them? And I'm going hold on a second. Is this a new episode of Oprah? And she's going, yeah. And you're a new mom, first kid, and you like these bottles so much you want to order them right away. She's going, yeah. 15 minutes later, I know it sounds crazy that a pawn shop wants 5,000 baby bottles, but I need 5,000. I put every one of them on eBay, made like an extra $15,000 that month.
Wow.
And I have 100 different stories like that.
So you're very opportunistic. When you see something, your brain says, okay, how can I turn this into a money-making scheme back to Fitzgerald?
Yeah, I mean, find a hole in the market and fill it, and you can make money.
When you were young, when you were 14 years old or so, where did you live then? Were you already in Vegas?
No, I was in San Diego when I was 16, 1981. Mom and Dad were in the real estate business. Everything went crazy. Real estate market went to hell. Yeah. We moved to the land of milk and honey. My dad had just retired from the Navy, and he opened up a little coin shop, and I helped him out and did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then we ended up opening the pawn shop together in '88, and rest is sort of history. And I've done a million other little things.
So when you were 14 years old or so in San Diego, if I had go back to that time, what did you want to be?
I had no idea because, like I said, I had epilepsy, and back then there's no internet, there's no research on it or anything like that.
So you thought you had limitations?
Oh no, I thought I had a really limited lifespan,
right?
Because I had met other kids with epilepsy who died, later died. So no, I mean, I really didn't have a clue. I did love making money. I did know that if you went to the swap meet and you kept on looking for silver spoons and stuff like that, if you get those real cheap, my brother had a fake ID. He could sell them at the pawn shop. and I get like $4 or $5 a piece for them. So I used to do that all the time on the weekends.
But that exposed you to that business.
Yeah.
And you knew that pawn shop was going to make money when he sold it as well.
Yeah, so my dad had a little coin shop. He bought and sold stuff. I really wanted a pawn shop. I knew that was all the money it was. Most people don't want to sell their stuff. They want to get a loan.
Right. So you really purposely said, I want to go into the pawn business.
I want to go in the pawn business. I love dealing with the antiques and all the different weird things. And
Yeah.
it's definitely it's not like working on an assembly line all day long.
So because of your love of artifacts and history, you have a real appreciation for what everybody brings to the store, which comes through on TV big time. I mean, your eyes light up when you see some of these things.
I really do love this stuff. I am a super nerd. Okay, I mean, I've had huge name celebrities call me up and going like, "Who is this?" Because to this day, I just read every night. I don't watch television. I tell people television is like hot dogs. You really like it till you see how it's made.
Good point. We know that well, don't we?
Yeah.
So what's amazing to me is how I see this really just starting with this book and this mentality of yours to schemes and make money, your love of making the money, going into eBay, doing business with pawn shops, suddenly going to the pawn shop business. Is that a tough business to go into? Did you make money right away?
Well, at first it was really difficult because, like in a pawn shop, when you first start, money's just going out on loans, and you're not a lot coming in. And there's a ton of stuff you got to know, and it's really
Do you have to capitalize it yourself in your business, or will a bank work with you in the beginning?
It's definitely hard to get cap financing with it.
It's high risk.
Well, not only that, you can't get a small business loan for it because SBA will not loan you money if you're going to loan it to someone else.
Oh,
it's a little loop. It's a pawn. It's not
right. You're not allowed to re-lend.
Yeah, it's they don't want a whitewater situation.
Yep. Well, that makes sense. You can't argue with them for that. So that's fascinating. So now you open a pawn shop and you start looking at these things and you start giving people money.
Yeah.
Was that a little scary in the beginning?
It was, because my dad had a little coin shop, bought and sold stuff, had a jewelry store. It was difficult. There's always people always trying to scam you. There's a million and one little things you have to know. And I know I used to have to go to the library every Saturday and like research stuff because remember back then there wasn't an internet.
Right. So actually, wow. So you'd sit in the library and that's how you'd learn about these
I'd
things.
learn all kinds of stuff. I remember once I bought I knew they were photograves. It's an expensive photo process way back in the day of American Indians, and so I bought some. I bought some for like $50 a piece because I had no idea what they were. The lady didn't have, and then it turns out they were Edward Curtis photographs, and they were all the negatives were in the Smithsonian. I did really really well in that. I just knew for a fact that anything old American Indian was worth money, and like I said, I made money off that because I had read books that's worth money, and my entire life I love to read, and I don't read fiction. It's just really, really boring history and physics and things.
I'm like you. I read a lot of biographies. I love the human condition and reading about people. And fantasy just doesn't work for me so much.
Yeah.
So okay, you got the pawn shop. You're making a couple bucks. You're doing. Was there one transaction where you said to yourself, you went home that night, said, "Okay, this is freaking working now. This is." Is there one moment that you can remember when you realized to yourself, "Wow, this is working"?
Yeah, it was. I remember when because from the get go, I mean, there was like you take all the big pawn shops in this town anyway. They're owned by massive chains. Easy Corp's got like 1,000 stores. Cash America's got like 1,000 stores. I couldn't compete against Walmart, so I had to be Tiffany's.
Right.
Yeah, and I remember.
But you had a good location.
Yeah, and I remember. The problem, one thing that I knew I was so much better than all the other people is when a guy came in with a 1930s. Now I'm having a German camera.
Leica?
Yeah, Leica. Yeah,
yeah. Hasselblad.
A 1930s Leica, great shape and everything like that. Yeah, we wanted to borrow $1,000. I'm saying, yeah, no problem. He goes, I just been to 4 pawn shops, and they said they don't take these things.
But you saw the money.
Oh yeah, and then and early on I said, you know what, I always want the place immaculately clean. I want like at least 1 or 2 Picassos or Renoirs on the wall. I mean, this is going to be different than any other pawn shop.
So you positioned yourself. It was very strategic, actually.
Yeah.
Did you realize you were being strategic back then?
I wanted to be better than the rest. I wanted people walk to my pawn shop. They knew what I was. They knew I was honest. They knew what I was doing, and. in the end, that's why I was just so much better than all the other ones. I knew what I was doing, and I had a better play.
Also, you became an expert, respected. So people know if they had something, they should bring it to you.
Yeah.
Because, you have the knowledge base to give, what the hell is this, Rick?
Yeah.
I went to you with some stuff that I found, and your answers and knowledge is remarkable. So why would I bring it to anyone else? It makes no sense.
Yeah, and and I knew from the beginning, be super honest with all your customers, because in the end, if the day you rip somebody off, through 6 degrees of separation, almost everybody on the planet don't do business with this guy. Yeah. If you're really, really honest with them, that's only like 2 degrees of separation. But it's just a fact of life. No, but be super honest with your customers and be straightforward with everybody. And
I like that in porn stars. I like when something. This is appraised at $12,000. Well, I want $12,000. I got to make money. So you're really honest with them and saying, if I get to 12, great. But so you do expose, that I'm going to make money. This is how much money I need to make.
It's very, very simple. I mean, it's
very transparent.
Yeah, and hopefully I teach a few people about capitalism, because our current school system teaches nothing about it, besides that it's evil.
Yeah, I agree with you there. We're working on a TV special on capitalism with Cavuto right now, which we'll talk about. But I completely agree with you, Rick. They're taught how to be dependent. They're taught how to have a certain entitlement. Yeah. But you and I knew we had to make our own money. We knew that growing up. We had to make this happen for ourselves. I got a couple of questions that I've always wanted to ask you over the years.
Sure.
So I've had the honor of meeting your dad. I've had the honor of meeting Corey and your family. And was there a transaction in the early days of the pawn shop where you said to yourself, holy shit, did I blow this? Were there any rude awakenings?
Oh, no, there was plenty of them.
I'd love to hear one story.
It's like in the early 90s, there was some... I think they started doing it in Hong Kong. They were taking like 1970s Rolexes. Okay, they take the movement out, put it on aftermarket dial, aftermarket hands, and then make an 18-karat gold case. Oh, literally! I mean, they're literally $2,500 into this $20,000. I mean, this isn't just some cheap little fake. They're $2,500 into.
And it's gold.
And it's gold. It's everything. So you pop open the back. Oh yeah, it's all Rolex. Okay, and then find out that. That's the only part that's Rolex. And I know. So I got burned on like 6 of those over the course of a month. It cost me like $50,000. Wow. But you live and you learn, and like like nowadays, I explain to all the guys that work for me, go through everything. Is this right? This right? Is one thing's wrong? There's a problem.
Right. That one thing takes it down. We all loved your dad.
He was an amazing guy.
He really was, and I've often wondered, having his life, and I know he loved his cars.
Yeah.
What did he collect? Were there things in his home that over the years were special to him?
He had a lot of guns. He had
old Civil War guns, collector pieces, things like that. Yep.
And he loved his cars. He just loved his cars. He had.
You too.
Yeah, I probably had he had like 30 old cars.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he tinker with them and play with them himself?
I tinkered with them and played with them some himself. Most of the work he had done, but he loved to drive like his old cars. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I got a phone call saying, "You got to come and pick me up. The car's broke down."
So if I were to walk in your house, which you've invited me, but I haven't had a chance to do it yet, what are the things that you're most proud of that come from your love of artifacts and things?
Okay, so like my the favorite thing the big thing I collect books. And I generally prefer the ones that were banned by the Catholic Church. So I have a ton of books that were literally you would have been burned at the stake for owning.
Controversial.
So I have a lot of books on alchemy. I have they're like the Theatrum Chemicum Britannicum. That was the first alchemy book written in English, because back in the 1600s. It just wasn't profitable to print a book in English, because if you were educated, you spoke Latin and you spoke French. Right. So most printers would print it in Latin or French. That way they could sell it to all of Europe, not just England. And it was really because the penalty for practicing alchemy back then was to be hung from gilded gallows. Because the treasury, they didn't understand physics or chemistry really, so they thought if you could manufacture gold, all the gold the treasury would be worthless. So that's why it was illegal. So it's a 300-page book, and it's entirely written in prose to get around the laws. Because like if if the man is of sulfur and the woman is of mercury, through hot, passionate love, they create a golden child.
Wow.
And the
Fascinating.
the entire books are written like that. I have the Elixir Vital from 1602. It has all the formulas for immortality.
Wow. So how's that working out?
The author's dead. But I have a ton of weird stuff. I have some maps of the island of California in my house.
So your books are real important. Your maps are important.
Yeah.
You have a
It's
gun collection too.
What's that?
You have a gun collection as well. You love historic weapons, right?
Oh yeah, I have a lot of guns. I just, as a matter of fact, I just bought two 1697 cannons.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you love something that has a story connected to it.
It's got to have a story. Everyone loves a story. I mean, if you take any really expensive antique, something that sells at Christie's for $1 million, you're buying the story.
Right. That's right. And who owned it previously and where it's been.
And how it was made and why it was made and where, it's always that story.
So okay, let's go to Pawn Stars. So you open a pawn shop. You're doing well. You and your family's making money. Things are going well. And when did you get this idea that you wanted to be on TV?
Okay, so really early, not just probably like 5 or 6 years after I opened the pawn shop, I got this great idea to put world famous on the side of the building. And people would say, "Oh, why is it world famous?" I say, "Because it says so on the side of the building." Right.
In small print, it said "soon too."
Yeah, and then and like I said, I was way different than the other pawn shops. I had Super Bowl rings in there. I had Picasso's on the wall. So I kept on getting national news stories about me and things like that. And because, for lack of a better term, I always was a media whore.
Yep. You told me that before. You love but you had an interesting business that would get you in front of the media.
Yeah, so I 14 years ago, I'm thinking I should give me one of these reality shows. If I get a season or two, it'd be great for business. And I kept on. For 4 years, I kept on pitching the show. I think I pitched it to 17 different production companies.
What was the original name of Pawn Stars?
There was Vegas Pawn. There was a bunch of different ones. Actually, an intern at Left Field Pictures actually came up with the term Pawn Stars.
It's a great name.
Yeah,
it's one of the best names on TV.
And we had the highest rated premiere ever in the history of History Channel, and I really truly believe that's because people were going through their cable guide and thought it said something else.
But they looked.
Yeah, they looked,
and you kept them. Because what a lot of people don't know is in the television world, Rick and I are rated by quarter hours. And they look at our show in quarter hours. So your new Pawn Stars is an hour long. So if the first quarter hour has a lot of viewers, but the last quarter hour doesn't, then we didn't do a good job creating compelling television. So when you look at a television show, you have to keep people for the entire show. They can't tune in and tune out. So even though they thought it was something else, they stayed.
Yeah, they stayed.
And you wound up being the number one show on the network.
I ended up being the number one show on cable there for right around a year, and now and to this day, I'm still on the air, and I'm on in 150 countries, 38 languages.
Wow. So what Rick's show is actually called in the television business is a tentpole show. And it's called the tentpole show because his pole holds up the whole freaking network sometimes. And I can say that my show is the same on my network, that, the two of us have just dominated. If you go to History Channel, how many hours a week are you on sometimes?
There has been times where I remember once I was 22% of their programming for the entire week.
Yeah, I've been at that too with the Sunday marathons, and you have marathon. So what's amazing about television is that when you watch Rick Harrison, Chumley, Corey, when you watch them again and again and watch an episode you've already watched, and people are watching you 2, 3, 4, 5 times, that isn't about the television show. That's about Rick. That's about the relationship that you've created with the audience. I love watching it, buddy. I watch you all the time, and you're my friend. And I'll watch episode I've watched again and again because I love the interaction. You've connected with America. Well, it's powerful.
Well, I think people love to learn. They really, truly do. They just don't want to hear it from a professor. They want to hear it from their uncle.
But I've heard it all. I saw the show, and I'm watching it again. And I know what the artifact is, but it's still fun to watch you. And it's fun to watch your interactions, with Corey and a fan. In any event, my just hats off to you because people don't know. Getting on TV is one thing. Staying on TV is another. Yeah. And Rick has been on TV 10 years now almost?
10 years. I'm filming my 15th season. For over the years, I've had plenty of producers wanted to want more drama. I'm going I'll never make a television show I would be embarrassed for my mother to watch.
I wish I could say that. No, I'm teasing. My mother actually loved my show. You know, the trick is you're honest.
Yeah.
You're just an honest guy, and so am I. There's something about Rick, I'll tell a little secret that I'm not sure if people know about you, that you'll be happy I did. If Rick has the greatest business cards in America, and tell everybody what's on the back of your business cards.
Well, I have a bunch of different quotes from the Founding Fathers.
And every card is different because I
Yeah.
have a few of them from over the years.
Yeah.
So it's not one quote that he prints on 500 cards. He actually has identified Founding Fathers quotes,
Yeah.
and you got a bunch of them on your cards.
Yeah, like there's I have one that says George Mason. He's the father of the Bill of Rights, and it's a great quote from him. It's like, so who are the men of the militia? All the men of this country, except for a few select politicians.
Well said, especially today.
Yeah,
Boy,
or-
those are poignant words today.
Yeah, or Benjamin Franklin. Beer is proof that God wants us to be happy.
I also love that you are such a patriot, buddy.
Yeah.
You are. And, you know, put political beefs aside, left, right, you know, middle. That doesn't matter for the purpose of this moment. What matters is your love of this country and the time and commitment that you put into your beliefs.
Yeah.
It's wonderful, buddy.
Yeah.
And more people need to be civic-minded like you. Get involved, speak their mind, steep
Yeah.
up. Do it respectfully.
Yeah.
Do it in a way that communicates message and values. And you do that, Rick. And you
Well, I
touch
mean-
people when you do.
I mean, we have a media now that it's bomb throwing. It's bomb throwing news, so it's not really news. I mean, literally, you've gotten to the point where you've got networks like CNN or just
They're
it's-
attacks.
I literally I believe the National Enquirer before I believe CNN anymore. No, I mean it's there. You can be civil. I mean, I spoke at CPAC. I don't think I said one bad thing about Democrats. I just put the facts out there. We need to educate children more about business, about capitalism, about
Who
how
can
this,
argue with that?
yeah, I mean, I go out to high schools and like they give me, I talk to, I go to troubled high schools and I speak, and I explain to them, hey, you guys want to be ballers? Because I talk to them. I worked in a pawn shop my whole life. I can talk to people.
You know how to be a tough guy when you want to be.
Yeah, and I just say, hey, you guys want to be a baller? You want the cool car? You want the cool pad? You want all this other stuff? Don't do drugs. Get a good education. Don't have kids out of wedlock. You just reduced your chances of being in poverty by 95%.
3 things.
Okay, and like the second I say, well, don't have kids out of wedlock, it's like, oh my, I literally, you see the school administrators freaking out. There's not a problem with that. Okay,
Right.
So, if you are a single parent, you're going to be broke. You're going to be
You're
poor.
cutting one of your legs off, so to speak.
You
are.
Yeah, now you have basically half the money to raise a kid, and it's
And half the time to get your life together.
okay. And I explain that whether you're a young man or a young woman, either way, you're going to be completely broke. Because if you're a young man, trust me, they will eventually get you for child support. It will be taken out of every paycheck you get for the next 20 years. Okay, and your child is going to have a much tougher life without both parents in the house.
And you send that message consistently all the time. It's important, Rick. And what people don't know is all the time that you put into this cause of yours and to try to help the values of our country. And, buddy, I love you for that.
Well,
You know-
thanks for having me, man. I mean, no, it's.
I have one more question for you. 2 more, maybe.
I don't know why I'm this pretty. That was the question.
No, how do you stay so young? That was a question. I don't know. What's next? I mean, you have a hit TV show. You got a great business. You're a legend in Las Vegas. Everybody loves you in this town. You're a national celebrity. I've seen videos of you in Brazil in malls with 30,000 people going crazy and stuff. So, what's next for you?
I don't know. I as long as I'm, I love doing the TV show. I really do. I love giving history lessons.
Yeah.
I have. I don't know. It's going to be a little weird because here in a couple of years we're going to be an empty nester, and me and Deanna have 6 kids.
Yeah.
But no, I still enjoy stuff. I go to my ranch. I go up there for
Rick has a beautiful ranch up northwest.
yeah.
And rides his motorcycle up there, back and forth.
Yeah, no. So just continue to enjoy life. Life is amazing. It's short. Take advantage of it. 3 weeks ago, I was 25 years old. It seems that way sometimes.
Right.
No, and I just want to have a great life. I still do tons of stuff for, Las Vegas. I'm on the national board of directors of the Epilepsy Foundation. I do a bunch of work with them. I do a bunch of different charity work. It's going to buy me a better place in hell. And
Your work with Epilepsy Foundation is really important. Is there a website address that you can give everybody?
It's epilepsy.com. And every year I have one of the biggest motorcycle runs in Nevada, and we raise money for the Epilepsy Foundation. And the money I raise in Nevada stays in Nevada. It pays everything from doctor visits to kids for their medication. No, I just I love life. I love this country. This really is the greatest place in the world to live. In the history of the world, that this time right now in history, the United States is the greatest place in the world to live.
Right today. Right
okay,
now.
I've been everywhere. I've been to India. I've been to all over Europe. I've been all over Asia.
And all you want to do is come home.
And they all want to come here.
I'm with you. You know, I was reading a statistic on Varney the other day that 879,000 small business apps were filed last quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, this is boom town today.
Well,
and, you know, this is the time that we should all be jumping forward and stuff. Rick, what would you say to that 14-year-old boy, 16-year-old boy, who has his version of something holding him back and is worried that he might not live as long? What would you say to that kid that inspired you to be so successful?
Don't give up. You know what? I mean, F everybody else. Just you can do it.
Yeah.
You know what? And this is the other great thing about this country. Just about any other country in the world, you go bankrupt once, you'll never get another loan. You'll never. I mean, you are ruined for life. This is the one country where you can fail 10 times and still go right back there and do it. Henry Ford declared bankruptcy before he started Ford.
Yeah. It's and there's a number of other stories like that where bankruptcy has been filed. There's a guy named Perkins Pancake House filed bankruptcy 3-4 times. You speak about something that's really, really powerful. So no matter what happens, bankruptcy, knockdown, physical ailments, disease, the fact of the matter is you just got to fight through it every day. But if you don't, you have nothing to hold on to.
Don't
What's
lay
your
down.
purpose?
Never lay down.
Yeah. So what are we going to see coming up in Pawn Stars? I know you're changing the format a little.
I'm going to be an hour long now instead of a half hour long.
Great.
So you get to see more of my beautiful face. More Chum, more Corey. No, it's I'm going to do a lot of, we're calling them deeper dives, where I just talk a whole lot more history about certain things.
Which we love.
So, the same but different. And, it's still a family show. It will never be Jersey Shore.
What's your goal for the store? Is your goal to leave it to Corey one day?
I don't know. I'm still riding along. I got 6 kids. So and 3 grandkids.
Yeah.
So so I don't know. For now, I'm having a great time. Something happens to me, it goes to my wife. So,
who's quite beautiful, by the way. Yeah, she's beautiful.
She's the
and
most
a real sweetheart.
amazing person in the world.
Well,
Keeps me in line.
She straightened your ass out. That's what I was going to say. Right? So, Rick, thank you for being here. I wanted Rick to be here because I want everybody to hear his story. Of moving. His family has some struggles in real estate. Coming out here, starting over again, reinventing yourself 3 or 4 times, buddy, to create, and then reinventing yourself again to be on TV. You're the epitome of success for 3 reasons. I think that you're a really good man, Rick. I think that you have great values that you really share with everyone. You're extremely charitable, and you're a great example for us all. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Thanks for having me, man.
If you love my No Excuses podcast, hit subscribe at Apple Podcasts, go to podcastone.com or the Podcast One app, and you'll get your new episodes every Tuesday morning.